Probably watching this video because you want to become rich or you want to become successful, you have big dreams and big aspirations for your life. My goal with this video today is to give you the raw, real insights that are actually going to serve you on that journey. And the one thing I can promise you you're not going to get from this video is me telling you to go and wake up at 5 a.m. and go on a morning run and do a cold plunge and do a sauna and journal and manifest and all this bullshit advice out there. I'm not trying to say that all those things don't provide any benefit to you, but they don't actually really do anything to help you become successful, at least from my experience. So instead, I want to walk you through the actual real reality of what I've done to become successful. And I don't see many people really talking about this, and I've never personally watched a video on this, and I wish I'd kind of been told this when I was trying to become successful, because I also tried to do all the cold plunges in a journal, and maybe I took pieces, and none of it ever really worked for me and got me to my goals. So let's look at it like this. Let's just say you want the outcome of becoming a millionaire. To get that outcome of becoming a millionaire, what the fuck has saunas and cold plunges and waking up at 5 a.m. actually got to do with that outcome? It doesn't really get you there. To get that outcome, let's take it a step back and think about the things that we actually need to do to get it, right? Like if we think of stuff in first principles, okay, I want to make $1 million. That's the outcome I want to get. So what inputs do I need to do on a day-to-day basis to make sure that I get that output in the time frame I want to get it in? Let's just say I want to become a millionaire in 5 years. Okay, cool. Let me tell you something right now. On that inputs list, waking up at 5 a.m., doing saunas, doing cold plunges, going out for runs, journaling, reading Law of Attraction, does pretty much nothing to get you that outcome. Before you do the 5 a.m. wake ups and the cold plunges, you need to think, okay, how am I even gonna become a millionaire? First, let's pick the right opportunity vehicle. And even a step before that, let's research what the best opportunity vehicle is. For me, that was starting an OnlyFans management agency. And you can think what you want about managing OnlyFans models. I really couldn't give a fuck what you think, to be honest, because I'm probably living the life you want to live anyway, so it makes no difference to me. Now I need to somehow figure out how the fuck I'm gonna grow this business. And so you're probably at a point where no one knows who the fuck you are, no one knows you have the business, and so you're at the next stage of, okay, now I need to break out of obscurity. And so then you figure out how to break out of obscurity. Once you've broken out of obscurity, then you figure out the next part of the process, right? And that goes on and on and on, from breaking out of obscurity to, optimizing sales, to building the operations on the back end, to scaling the business, to allocating money strategically and reinvesting and blah, 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 all the way until you reach $1 million and you've hit your outcome. When in that process, was there anything to do with 5 a.m. wake ups, cold plunges, and anything else? It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter if you wear blue light blockers at night, you sleep with no strips on. That shit is not gonna make you a millionaire, right? Yeah, it has other benefits and all this shit. It doesn't do anything. And most people wake up and they fucking journal and they do all this bullshit, and by the time it's like, comes to 1 p.m., they're fucking exhausted. And they can't even focus anyway. And so the only thing that actually matters to become successful is your focus, because we all have 24 hours in a day. The only difference between someone that succeeds faster is they know how to focus that time and energy, right? So it's not an infinite resource, right? It's very finite. And so like if you imagine you have a bank and you're spending that finite resource every single day of time and energy, regardless of what you do, like you're spending it anyway. So why the fuck are you spending your time and energy on cold plunges, 5 a.m. wake ups, doing all this shit that doesn't matter, when the only actual goal you want is to become a millionaire? If that's your actual main goal and the only thing that you want to achieve, then all the other stuff is irrelevant. And if you continue to do all that other stuff, it's actually going to slow you down. And that's the truth, but no one will tell you that. And so I'll give you an example of myself. For the first 2.5 years when I was in my teens trying to become a millionaire, I fell into that trap. I was reading all the Law of Attraction books. I was doing the 5 a.m. wake ups, even though I fucking hated waking up at 5 a.m. And I was doing all this shit and none of it did anything. 2.5 years went by. I had tried this business model called dropshipping. I was doing it for 2.5 years straight. I was trying, doing all these other things. It didn't work. It just didn't work. I've tried everything to the point where I was like, what the fuck? Like something needs to change, because I've got the best habits, the best routine, and all this sort of stuff. It was only when I got rid of all that shit and thought in first principles and simplified my day-to-day and just focused on one thing at a time, it was only at that point when I actually succeeded. And so over the last 3 to 4 years, I wouldn't even say I've got any millionaire habits. I literally go to bed whenever I want. It's like 2 a.m. now. I'm filming this video because I want to film this video. I'll probably go to bed at 5, 6 a.m. I'll probably wake up at 2 p.m. and then I'll focus on that problem until I'm tired, and then I'll go to sleep, and then I'll wake up the next day and do the same thing. and I just do that until the problem's solved, and then I move on to the next natural problem or the next natural constraint, and then I solve that, and then there's another one, and then this is just a never-ending cycle. That's all I do. I keep it simple. Like literally, I don't have any habits. I don't go to the gym. I don't do any of that shit. And you might think, oh my God, like you need to go to the gym to have mental clarity, or you need to do all these things if you want to succeed. How come I'm successful and you're not? You're watching this video right now. I've got the life that you want to live. So what are we talking about here? Like, are you going to keep listening to these like self-improvement YouTubers that want to sell you productivity courses and all this other shit? Because none of that matters. I've never done productivity bullshit. I've never had productivity hacks. I've never done dopamine detox. Like, I've never done any of that shit. But yet, I'm a multimillionaire at 23 years old. So like, what are we talking about? Like, what are we actually talking about? This is like the real advice that people are not going to give you. And this is my experience. Maybe there are people out there that do all those things and become successful. But the thing is, people don't realize that it's not actually those things that made them successful. That was part of their routine and they became successful. And then because they're fucking dumb, they attribute the 5 a.m. wake ups and all the things to becoming successful. But in reality, it wasn't. It was how they spent their time and energy, how they spent that finite currency of time and energy, and how they focused. That's all that actually matters. So like, if you want to just cut all the bullshit and stop doing the 5 a.m. wake ups and stop doing the cold plunges and all this other shit, keep it simple. All you need to do is figure out what do you need to do right now to get your outcome. So for example, first thing, do research until you figure out the exact business model that you want to pick. Once you've got that business model and you've done enough research and you think this is the one for you, it matches with how you want to live your life, it matches with your personality, it matches with your skill set, all you need to do then is figure out what is the next step. Okay, now you need to break out of obscurity. So are you going to create content? Are you going to do ads? Are you going to do outreach? Are you going to get referrals? Are you like word of mouth? What are you going to do? Break out of obscurity. Cool. Once you've broke out of obscurity, now you've got customers. Like then you need to figure out, okay, how can I improve my offer? Or how can I, improve my sales? Or maybe improve my marketing even more? How can I scale? Or how can I build operations? Or how can I build infrastructure? How can I hire people? How can I recruit talent? How can I grow this thing? How can I live the life I want to live? Like, how can I decentralize? Like, then you figure out, but that doesn't all happen at once. You can't focus on all those things at once. You can't be like, right, I'm going to start a business. I need to break out of obscurity. I also need to build a sales team. I need to do this. I need to do this. I need to scale. You can't do all that shit at once. Just pick the biggest problem, solve that problem, and when it's solved, you will have another problem. So I coach people that want to start or scale OnlyFans management agencies, right? And so I see people coming in all the time and they're like, okay, like I haven't got any clients yet. Like I'm trying to sign clients. I'm doing outreach. I'm like trying to do content. I'm also like then building out my marketing system. So when I do sign a model, and I'm building out my sales system. So when I do sign a model, and I'm looking for hires, and I'm hiring my chatting team and doing all this stuff. And I'm like, why the fuck are you doing all that other shit when you don't even have a model? Like, just fuck all the other shit. That doesn't matter. Why are you building marketing systems when you don't have a model to even market? Go and find the model and fix that constraint first. Like, your constraint right now is, again, you need to break out of obscurity. You need to become known, and you need to go and find a client. You need to tell people about your service. Otherwise, you can have the best marketing system and the best service delivery in the world. If you don't break out of obscurity and people don't know who you are and you don't know what you offer, it doesn't fucking matter. So I literally tell people, stop all this other bullshit, stop overcomplicating it, fix this issue first. Once you fix that, then worry about the next thing. So go and find your client, put all your effort and energy on finding your client. If you have to wake up every single day and spend the first 4 hours of your day, the first 8 hours of your day, purely focusing on solving that one big problem that's stopping you from the next step, just do that. So if it takes you 1 month, every day to find a client, do that. Stop educating yourself, stop consuming marketing material and how to get traffic and how to do chatting and all this stuff. That doesn't matter yet. Worry about that problem when you get it. First of all, again, find a model. Once you've found a model, then you can worry about, okay, how do I onboard the model? Then go and figure that out. Okay, cool, now you've onboarded a model. Then go and figure out how the fuck you're gonna market it. Okay, cool, now you figured out how to market it. Now you need to figure out how you're gonna go and maximize the back end through chatting. So now you better go and figure out how you're gonna hire chatters or how you're gonna chat yourself. And then once you've figured that out and now you've got all the pieces to the puzzle, then you need to figure out how can I replicate this process with another model? And then how can I replicate it again? And how can I replicate it again? And now how can I hire more people? Now how can I build infrastructure and SOPs and decentralize and then scale? And then you solve one thing at a time. What is the biggest constraint of the business? Solve that first, and then move on to the next natural constraint, and then move on to the next natural constraint, and so on and so on and so on and so on. If you do that enough, you will win inevitably. Like, you actually can't lose if you do that. Like, it's literally that simple. It might take months to just fix the one constraint of the business, but then you fixed it. So now you just move on to the next one, right? So that's like, just keep it simple. People overcomplicate the fuck out of it. And did I mention once in that entire process, you also have to do a 5 a.m. cold plunge when you wake up, and you have to go to the sauna, and you have to travel to all these luxury places and buy a Ferrari and do all this stuff just to sign your first model. And no, you don't. Just keep it simple. There's so much information out there right now that I think it actually just destroys everyone. Like, there's so much conflicting advice, and there's so much like complex advice because people want to seem super smart and intelligent by like feeding you all this information, that it actually just does you a disservice, because people have forgot how to think in first principles, and people have forgot how to, or they never learned to think in first principles, and people have forgot that like simplicity scales and fancy or complex fails, wherever you want to say. Like, the reality is, like, it's actually way more simple than you think, but you're actually stopping yourself from getting the outcome you want because you think it's more complicated than what it is. But as a result of thinking it's more complicated than what it is, you actually fail. Voila. I've just revealed the fucking mental models for success. Like, that's all you need to worry about. Stop worrying about having the perfect routine and doing dopamine detoxes, and it doesn't worry. I don't care what you do, as long as you make progress every day towards the biggest constraint of the business right now, or the biggest constraint of your personal life right now. So like, if you're in a position where you haven't started a business yet, the biggest constraint for you, if your goal is to make money and become a millionaire, well, the biggest constraint for you right now is just start. Just pick something and fucking start. Worry about the other shit after. Worry about all the other shit after. Just pick something and start. Once you've done that, you've solved one constraint. Then you move on to the next one. Then you move on to the next one. Then you move on to the next one. And then eventually you become successful, or you fail and you repeat, and maybe you have to switch business models. But if you do it long enough, consistently enough, the compounding effect will work and you will become successful inevitably. And that's just like how it works. So like, you don't have to overcomplicate it. Again, I have none of these millionaire habits. Sometimes I scroll on TikTok for 2 hours. Sometimes I scroll on YouTube Shorts for 2 hours. Sometimes I sit there and watch movies. Sometimes I do like one thing a day. Like, sometimes I'll literally just jump on one call with a client and just be like, oh my God, I feel like exhausted. I'm just not gonna do anything. And other days and other months and sometimes even a year, I'll just be a fucking psychopath and work for a year straight, like 12 hours a day. But like, there'll also be months where I'm like burnt out and I pretty much do nothing. But like, as long as I make some level of progress every day towards the biggest constraint, and I work on the biggest constraint, all the other stuff doesn't matter. And like, it's even harder once you start to get a business and become successful, because then you get distracted by all these different things. Because when you've got a team and you've got all these different departments, you've got sales, you've got marketing, you've got client success, and you've got clients. It's like, okay, you want to focus on all the little things going wrong with the clients, then you want to focus on the marketing to get more customers, and you want to focus on the acquisition, but then you need to go and sort something out that's broken sales, but then you also need to go and make sure client success is doing a good job, and then you need to go and also try and figure out how to scale a business, and also build infrastructure and build SOPs, and then you also need to hire people, and you also need to fire people, and you try and do all these things. That's when you just like plateau and stop and fail. Like for me right now, I've also got all those things going on. But for me, I'm like, well, what is the actual biggest constraint? Well, okay, it is marketing. Okay, it's cool. So let me just make more YouTube videos so I can break out of obscurity. No rocket science. I'm not doing fucking cold plunges. Like, I'm not looking at my business and going, if I want to get to 2 million a month, what do I need to do? Maybe a cold plunge. Maybe I should wake up at 5 a.m. Yeah. Because if I wake up at 5 a.m., that's somehow gonna make me an extra million a month. And also, if I do a cold plunge and then also build a habit of going to the gym every day, and then also like eat healthy and have a good sleeping pattern, I'm actually gonna be able to add 2 million a month. And while that might make my life better or my quality of life better, I'm happy with my quality of life. I'm happy where I'm at. I love my life. I think it's fucking amazing. I don't even enjoy or want to do any of those stuff. So why am I going to force myself to do shit I don't want to do? And you could say, oh, but like, you know, that's just comfortable. I'm not comfortable by any means. My goals are massive. I'm fucking uncomfortable every day because I'm nowhere near where I want to be. I'm deprived of money, even though I make fucking millions of dollars. My goals and ambitions are that big that I'm always fucking uncomfortable because I'm nowhere near where I want to be in life. And so I don't have to do all this cold plunge fucking bollocks and go to the gym and build habits and all this shit to become successful. That just distracts me and makes me fucking hate myself. like that just literally, I'm knackered by the time it comes to doing the stuff that actually matters, and so I won't do it. Like, it just holds me back. So like, if that works for you, great, but for me, I'm just sharing my experience. That shit is just pointless to me. Like, that shit is fucking pointless. And I might look back on this video in 5 years and be like, oh my God, 23-year-old Dylan was a fucking retard, and I'm now cold plunging and 5 a.m. I'm doing all this shit. But like, this is where I feel, and I've got to where I'm at right now. So if you're less successful than me, then maybe try this out. Like, if you've been doing all the other stuff, like, maybe try this out. If you're less successful than me, if you're not making millions of dollars a year, then maybe try out my method of just keeping it simple. I wake up, have a coffee, work until I'm tired, go to bed, wake up, work until I'm tired, go to bed, and sometimes I go to bed at 6 a.m., sometimes I go to bed at 2 a.m., sometimes I'll wake up at 5 p.m., sometimes I'll wake up at 10 a.m. Like, I really don't care. Like, I've never had a consistent pattern with anything. I've never consistently gone to the gym, I've never consistently cold plunged, I've never consistently fucking, dopamine detoxed. I just don't care. Like, I just don't think any of that stuff actually matters. And so it's just irrelevant to me. And so, yeah, this is like my personal experience of becoming successful. I just think you just have to do the things that actually matter. And so, like, all the self-improvement people are probably gonna hate this video and think like I'm full of shit, but at the end of the day, I'm not optimizing for like self-improvement in the sense of like, I wanna be super shredded and I wanna have like a really good habit and routine. Like, I'm optimizing for complete and utter freedom to do wherever I want, whenever I want. So it's like, you only live once. Why am I gonna force myself to do the stuff I don't necessarily wanna do? And I do that in business. Like, you gotta force yourself to do stuff you don't wanna do, like hard tasks, the boring work, 100%. But like, that's already enough to where I don't have to do the other shit that doesn't impact the business. My goal is purely to grow my business and to become successful in business. And my goal is to like make millions of dollars in business and live like this amazing life. The cold plunges and all the other stuff has no part in that whatsoever. At all. Like, yes, there's benefits to doing those things. I am not discrediting that. I'm purely just saying from a very hypological perspective, it doesn't actually do anything to get your goals. Because, okay, let's just say by doing all that, you have all this new energy and clarity, and because you meditate, you feel like you're gonna move faster, blah, blah, blah. But you've wasted 4 or 5 hours doing that. I've spent those 4 or 5 hours hyper-focused on the main thing that's gonna get me the outcome. So if me and you were in a race, we could start at the exact same level, with the exact same resources, with the exact same access to the same information. And by me, we both have the same time and energy in a day. But if you're spending a big portion of your time and energy doing the routine and building the habits and doing this and this and this and the cold plunge and the blah, 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 and I'm spending that same time and energy just purely focused on the one thing, who do you think's gonna move faster? Well, I'll give you the spoiler. It's gonna be me, the guy that just hyper focuses on the thing. I don't care how you might think that guy's cooler and is more Sigma and like is more disciplined because he's doing all these things. But in reality, if you got an outcome, if you wanna become a millionaire, then that shit doesn't matter. If your outcome is to like live a super balanced life and become healthy and become like mindful and just have and be on that self-improvement journey in all aspects, by all means do that and optimize for that. I'm just talking to the business people that purely just want to make money. If you purely just want to make money, all that other shit doesn't matter. The biohacking, the blah blah blah, all the time you spend doing that shit, learning about that shit, just takes time away and takes focus away from the actual shit that matters, right? So yeah, this is a rant video. I just don't see anyone speaking about this. I wish someone had told me this, because I would have saved the first 2.5 years of my life of business just like fucking around doing all this shit. Like, I had to find out the hard way. And like, yeah, I was 2.5 years into business trying all this shit and none of it worked for me. And it was only when I stopped doing it and just did that, where I just said in this video, that I actually started making money. So yeah, I don't know why no one talks about this. And I'm not saying that you can't become successful doing the other thing. You can. I'm just saying you won't become successful as fast. And if you want to become successful fast and easy, then why the fuck are you doing all that other shit? It's as simple as that. Everyone at the end of the day wants to become rich quick. Everyone wants to become rich fast and easy. Now, it's not easy by any means, but if you do want to achieve it faster, then do what I said in this video. Because again, if your objective is to make money, then cold plunges have no fucking, like, there's no, what's the word I'm thinking of? There's no correlation between cold plunges and making money. There's no correlation between waking up at 5 a.m. and making money on a hyperlogical, non-binary fucking perspective. Like first principles, there's no correlation. Like it just doesn't work. But you know, creating content as some correlation with you making more money because you're breaking out of obscurity, but you're becoming known, right? You learning sales and learning a high income skill is going to help you make money, but you fucking going for a run at 5 a.m. has no correlation. Like it might give you a better mental clarity, but you're not going to make more money. Like it's just, you can think what you want, but that's the fucking truth. Like that's the actual fucking reality, like black and white. So yeah, everyone is fucking distracted. It's never been easier to win, but it's also never been easier to be distracted because like everyone that's like trying to become rich and successful is so over distracted, so overstimulated, overcomplicate the fuck out of everything, and everyone that's winning just thinks super simply. And yeah, if you want to like learn how to think like that, just go on like YouTube, like first principles thinking, go and like look at what Elon Musk does and stuff like that. Like it's just super simple. Like you don't see Elon Musk fucking waking up doing a cold plunge and like having the most amazing, healthiest, balanced life and habits, right? Like, so yeah, I guess you just have to decide what you want to sacrifice. If you want a balanced life, then great, you go do that. Personally for me, maybe I'll have a balanced life when I've achieved what I want to achieve, but for now, I don't give a fuck. My life's great, like it is what it is. So yeah, that's the harsh reality, I think. That's it, and I'll see you at the top. Peace.